And one of the things that I bond on with you most is your food chops, which I remember I've always liked you as a person, and then when I realized that you are this insane food nerd, I was like, oh my God, spirit animal alert.
I mean, yeah, I think that's something that we, as traveling, obviously you're as a comedian, you get the opportunity to go to places and really take, instead of like going to a place here where it's like, we really do Carolina barbecue well here. But then like you go to Carolina and you're like, I'll take the thing that like your grandma would eat.
Yeah.
And so that was the one thing, that was one of the reasons like I traveled so much doing comedy when I had the opportunity to, because I was like, well, dude, I want to go to taste, because North Carolina was the first place I ever traveled to do stand-up. And I remember I did Comedy Zone, and I remember this guy, Mike, who took me around, and I was like, dude, I just want Carolina barbecue. Like, that's whatever authentically you would have. And I think that was like the most memorable thing from the whole trip. Like, the crowds were great and the comedy was fun, and like, but I remember the dude salting everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I love that about people. And I love that there are new spins on things, and being from Chicago, where obviously Grant Achatz has like Alinea and Next, and him doing like molecular gastronomy. And so I was always fascinated with the idea of taking something that everybody thinks they know, which is sort of comedy, right? Like, it's like, I'm going to talk about men and women, and you're like, well, okay, but you have to do it at a certain point because you need to find a starting point to relate to people. And then you're like, no. What if I, like, the most impressive thing I ever had was at this restaurant called Next, which is Grant Achatz's like second restaurant. It's in Chicago.
It's a very cool place. It's like every 6 months or whatever, he changes the restaurant.
3 times a year, yeah. And they do a theme. And so the first time I ever ate there, I had a Kiseki style banquet from Kyoto, Japan. And that's like traditionally, like, for those visually, it's where you sit in the floor and you have the long table, and they bring you out courses. And
yes, and they're each supposed to mirror the season in a way. They're like tiny little things.
Yes. And the first thing we ever got, my buddy and I, was like this tea that it looked like a tea, like it was a Japanese tea. And so my mind was thinking it will definitely taste in this sort of realm. And then I drank it, and it was made from corn husks. And so it like blew my mind, because it was like I was eating a hot dog, but it tastes like ice cream. Right. And so my brain like could not, it was one of those real like synapse failures where you're kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
And, sort of getting out of your comfort zone. And so I always liked that about food, because it's like we all have these ideas of what we think things taste like. And it's like comedy, you kind of go, but here's my spin on it.
Yeah, I mean, especially him. He's got the craziest thing I think I've ever seen in my life food-wise was from Alinea. I'd never been there, but I saw a picture of this. Have you seen the pumpkin pie at Alinea? I'm gonna pull this picture up, because it is so insane that hold on, let me, like, it hurt my brain for a little. Whoever's listening, if you're listening, just Google pumpkin pie Alinea.
I've eaten at Alinea, but I didn't have the pumpkin pie.
Okay, look at this thing. It's clear. It's clear. Do you see this?
Do you know what that looks like? That looks like a pumpkin pie in a bad video game, like before they were able to fill in stuff.
Yeah. It's like a clear Jell-O almost. And it's just like completely see-through as a pie, but it has the crust there. And apparently he makes it with some dehydrated essence of pumpkin, and it tastes exactly like a pumpkin pie, but it looks like this. Like this blows my fucking mind every time I look at it.
See, isn't that amazing? Because visually, you see things and you're almost preparing yourself. Like, people go, I don't like the way that looks, so I'm not going to eat it. You know, in people's minds. Because when I went to Alinea, they give you the balloon which is
Yes.
which is the taffy. It's green apple. It doesn't taste like candy. It tastes like a fucking green apple.
Right.
And then it's filled with helium that is infused with green apple. So
Okay.
I took my mother and my father for my mother's birthday a few years back, and it was mind blowing.
Really?
And my parents aren't foodies. I mean, we're from the Midwest, from the Chicagoland area, and they, you know, they don't. I mean, they enjoy food, but like they would never go into a place like that. And I said, I'm going to take you here. I think, you know, this will be something. And it was cool to watch them eat the stuff.
Talking about chicken a la king, mango and garbanzo tabbouleh, grilled potatoes and vegetables with roasted garlic and basil, zucchini ziti, granola fruit bar. Look at all this beautiful food.